My parents were American missionaries who chose to work in sort of provincial Japan, not in the big cities. And because of that, they didn't want us to they didn't want to send us away to boarding school. And so they sent us to Japanese schools. So I grew up going to Japanese schools from kindergarten through junior high. So everything that I learned about Japan included learning about World War II from their perspective, as opposed to an American point of view. I learned about the firebombing and Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I think it was very confusing for me to learn as a young girl about what my country had done in terms of the bombing during World War II. I think it's kind of hard to process, and I think most people, especially Americans, don't really have an opportunity to learn about a war that, you know, in their idea, in their mind, was a great just war. But if it involves dropping a lot of bombs and a lot of people dying, we don't really learn about that from the point of view of the people who had the bombs dropped on them. So I think that definitely really cast a long shadow in my life. And so I think after that, as I grew up, I became quite interested in learning as much as I could about the history of the war. And I think I also remained very compelled by people's stories of people who survived war. And I think there's so much in a country that wins a war, the narrative is always about how good it is to go to war and how noble it is. And I just didn't grow up with that narrative, and so I have a very different point of view about war. I went to work for the New York office of a Japanese television network, so I wound up with a lot of production experience. I always knew that I wanted to make films, but that I didn't want to just make movies. I wanted to make films that only I could make, because I knew that the way I had grown up had given me a perspective on Japan and the U.S. that was very unique. And so, in a sense, it took me a long while to make ANPO. But I continued to read and then I started to subtitle Japanese films. I think I subtitled my first film about 15 years ago. And as I was subtitling films and watching a lot of older Japanese movies, I began to realize that something very traumatic, not as traumatic perhaps as Hiroshima, but something very traumatic for the whole country had happened in 1960. And that was the 1960 ANPO protests. And it really was, it was never really reported as such at the time internationally, but it was clearly a national uprising, a democratic national uprising against the continued presence of the U.S. bases. The U.S. bases have been in Japan ever since 1945. In 1960, there had been a very spontaneous national uprising against the U.S. military bases, and that was because it's hard to understand it now or remember it, but that was the height of the Cold War, and many Japanese people were terrified that they would be dragged back into war. It had only been 15 years since the end of World War II, when 65 Japanese cities lay in ruins. And so, say if you were 18 then, you were 3 in 1945, and even if you're 3 years old, everybody remembers the firebombing, no matter how young they were. And they just were terrified of going back into that madness called war. And they also saw a prime minister. We know now from documentation that the Prime Minister Kishi had been supported by the CIA, and I'm sure that very few of the people of Japan knew that at the time, but I think everyone felt deeply suspicious of the fact that someone who had been a cabinet minister during World War II and signed the declaration of war against the United States was now very friendly with the United States and was trying to do everything in his power to keep the U.S. military bases in Japan. I think that fundamental contradiction incensed many people, and that combined with their terror of being dragged back into war resulted in literally hundreds of thousands of people demonstrating every day, especially throughout June of 1960.